Dan, thank you so much for joining me today. Congratulations on Bambi: The Reckoning. How much fun
Thank
are you having with that film? Because I think for me
you.
as a fan of horror, with as a person who grew up with the movies that you guys are now making in this in this crazy universe, it's
Mm,
fun for me. It's enjoyable to
yeah.
different side of it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we wanted it to feel like a roller coaster. We wanted it to feel like a fun movie. We wanted it to sort of pick you up and sort of never put you back down in a way. Especially once that sort of car chase starts, about 20 minutes in, or once that home invasion starts, it really just sort of never stops again. We sort of talked about having almost this like TikTok energy where it's like, well, you would pause it now, but we can't pause it now because now this is happening, or like oh, well, maybe can we pause it now? It's like there's just no respite. There's no point where you're like, okay, maybe we can sort of pause it for a bit. So yeah, we wanted it to just be this fun, energetic, pacey movie. Um, and also yeah, be both playful but also scary. So we wanted to deliver gore, jump scares, but then also have playful moments. Like they're trying to open the bathroom door with the hoof is obviously just like a slightly ridiculous Velociraptor Jurassic Park moment, but at the same time. It feels right because Bambi's clearly operating on a far more intellectual level than just a wild deer. So it sort of it understands it wants to push on this door. It understands that these things are in its way and how it might get through there.
Yeah, it's totally bonkers as far as fun. So yeah, it does deliver a lot of those moments. What were some of the key elements for you in making a movie like this, where
Mhm.
to find the right balance, really? Because like I was saying from my personal experience, for me, there's a little bit more of a level of comedy because of the fact that I know
Yeah.
that what we're doing, but also like I do understand it's a horror movie, and there's going to be moments
Mhm.
where I do want to get jump scared. Some of your gory moments, I do want to go, and just to
Mm.
deliver that, that awesome package.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, what was important to us, yeah, was delivering all those scares, all those thrills, everything you'd expect to experience in a horror film, but then also, delivering the heart as well, and making sure it was about something that was important to me and the writer Reese, not to be confused with producer Reese, who also did the Pooh films. Um, but yeah, we really wanted to just make it meaningful, make it scary. And then, the part of the process of that is having a sick, like super cool, awesome creature design. So Stephanie and Ryan, like their team at Boiling Point, did such a good job of um of developing that creature with us. And that was a big part of it. And the design wasn't even finalized on when we started shooting. Like it was really sort of up against the wire. We were trying to find the right team to bring Bambi to life and it took a little bit longer than we would have liked, which meant we couldn't use practical elements as much. There's still loads of SFX stuff, like practical stuff in there, but it meant we couldn't get like a fake head or a fake hoof made, although that would have been maybe impossible on budget anyway. But we had some real practical elements like a CGI, like a green screen hoof and a green screen head that the characters could actually interact with. Um, so that it felt real. You felt like they were really interacting with each other. And then once you throw into the lighting from Jurassic Park 1, which we use just to try and really bring it together, we were like, well, if it's good enough for them in the 90s, then I think that's good enough for us now, because that stuff still looks good. And we won't just try and overcomplicate it. So we just did that. But I'll tell you what, there was like a weird voice in the back of my head because the creature design wasn't finalized. When we started filming, have you seen Birdemic or have you watched the trailer for Birdemic at
I've
all?
seen actually I've seen bits and parts of it. I haven't seen the whole movie. I've
Yeah,
seen bits and parts of it.
there was a little voice in my head that thought maybe we were making the next Birdemic, like what if the CGI just doesn't land? And then we're shooting all these people giving really fantastic, like serious performances, and then if the CGI isn't quite over this certain threshold, then it's going to seem almost entirely ironic and everything's going to fall apart and the whole film's going to feel like a farce. That was sort of the one voice at the back of my head was being like, you could actually be making the next Birdemic here. But no, thankfully, the CGI, we saw it coming along and it was all looking great. And we really sort of managed to push it to a good point. And then, like I said, combined with the lighting and everything, it's sort of, and the practical interactions, I think it creates a cohesive monster experience that meant we were sort of delivering something at like a good level that we were happy with, especially super happy on such a tight budget because these are sort of really low budget films that people don't always appreciate, I think, when they sort of see the trailers compared to other feature films.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I was just having a conversation with somebody this morning about indie films. I was saying like, yeah,
Mm,
a lot of times horror is the way to go because you can mask a lot of things with lighting, like you were actually just saying, with music and
mm,
great composition and just with clever camera angles and camera shots. And so I feel like, your lighting, you have a really dark, a lot of darkness in it, which of course it's warranted. I thought it worked really well. I loved your creature design, by the way. My question with
thank
that
you.
actually was going to be, were there any elements in the creature design that were like, we want to do this, and then you saw it, it's like, you know what, that's actually a little bit too much.
Oh, I know it was definitely getting the balance of we wanted it to feel like it had been torn apart but never stopped going. But we didn't want it to feel like a zombie because it's not a resurrected deer. It is very much a mutated deer, but it's a mutated deer that then can take injury and wounds, but then keep going. Um, so we definitely sort of, I think, went too far with the sort of zombiness at one point. But then the other big thing was the size. So the size was such a big talking point. We got it because we were designing it next to like a just a random like human
Mhm.
figure, so we could constantly see how big it was, how big we were going, and then so we then obviously cross-reference that with the script, and we're like, oh my God, it's got to get through all these doorways. How is it going to get through this door, this window, this thing, this thing? And I mean, Bambi technically like shrinks and grows 10% here and there, depending on what it needs to for the scene. That's my secret for you. Um, but it's largely consistently the same size. But we did have to shrink it down massively from what we initially planned. And we had all these big green screen CGI heads built to scale on uh, what it was meant to be. And then suddenly we were like, this is too big. So we had to scale it down from there. And that was like 2 days before filming. And the CGI team said, okay, whatever you do, whatever you use as a stand-in, don't use something that's bigger than what the deer is actually going to be. I went, oh no, we just paid for all these green screen CGI heads and we can't use any of them. But we use them for references. So we use those for references, but we had other elements like the hoof and stuff that people could actually interact with. So yeah, we pushed it too far with the size and too far with zombiness. Um, and then it's sort of the balance is like making sure it's still a deer. And it doesn't turn into a moose because we're making it really big, and it doesn't turn into just a random creature. You need enough deer in there for it to feel like a Bambi horror film, you know?
What are some of your techniques for jump scares in general? Because I mean, we there's a lot of them that are kind of tropey now. And when you're
Mhm.
approaching a jump scare as a director, how do you approach it?
But for me, I mean, I always think about the whole experience. So that's like, the edit, because I edit my own films. Um, and I think about the music and just how I want the audience to feel, because some jump scares come from nowhere, and they just suddenly get you. And I love moments like that. I wish there was sort of a couple more of those in Bambi, but a lot of the jump scares in Bambi are sort of suspense set up and then boom, and then we sort of, oh, there's not going to be anything, but then bam, there's a jump scare. But I think one thing that's massively overdone in sort of indie films is that they use too much music for jump scares, whereas actually what jump scares need is silence. You need just sound design. You need just a tiniest bit of wind. Um, to really make something scary, you need the music to actually disappear. And if the music says too much, like there's going to be a jump scare here, That's fine, but let that disappear now and give us a good. And how long can you hold that eerie soundscape before the jump scare smashes through? That's sort of the main thing I'm sort of interested in. So, there's a bit where Benji's looking through the picture book that Grandma's drawn. And I love just like, to me, I get freaked out by like the sound of the pages turning when we're like, oh, it feels like we're building to something here. The music's now completely gone. And all we can hear is the click of the outdoor light and the sound of the pages turning, and just trying to use that as our suspense builder, I think is quite effective.
Yeah, I love that. It's almost like hitting the top of a roller coaster and just waiting to be dropped.
Yeah.
That the moment when that music just goes lower, lower, and then, like you said, it could be wind, it could be the sound of like a water droplet, and not
Hmm.
knowing where it's coming from. I do appreciate it when directors hold me there for a second, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"It's coming, it's coming, it's coming," and it just
Yeah.
it's fun. It's fun. It's all part of the fun of horror. Dan, thank you
100%.
so much for your time. I appreciate you. I appreciate your
No,
film.
thanks for having me.
Have a lot of fun with it. My wife and I had a good time, had a good laugh, had a
Excellent.
couple good jumps, and I think that's all we're here for, to be entertained. So thank you so much.
Excellent. No, thank you. Thank you so much.